Hello. So in this video, we're going to talk about Brian Trenchard-Smith's film Leprechaun 3, the third video in the Leprechaun franchise. After the somewhat abysmal performance of Leprechaun 2, this film was not released to theaters. It went straight to video. Is this movie better than Leprechaun 2? I do not know, to be honest. This is a very different movie from Leprechaun 2. This movie is it's a weird mess of random seeming bits and pieces, and some just thrown together type junk. It's actually kind of a fun movie. I would say this is the type of horror movie that abandons the idea that it should actually be scary. There's some gore, there's some deaths, etc., etc. The kinds of things that there's a semi-unkillable evil villain in the Leprechaun. But I wouldn't say it's scary. If you are looking for a movie that you will have trouble falling asleep after, or that you will be unwilling to turn out the lights because of, this ain't it. Supposedly, interestingly enough, connected to this, according to the Wikipedia page for Leprechaun 3, this is Warwick Davis's favorite Leprechaun film. Warwick Davis, of course, plays the Leprechaun across the franchise. This is his favorite of the films. Not because it's the best necessarily, but because it was the most fun to do, and I think that's probably fair. So the premise is basically dumb. It's basically a ridiculous premise. The Leprechaun has been petrified, technically, would be the term, turned into stone by there's a sort of medallion that apparently is just the anti-leprechaun charm, his unlucky charm, if you will. And so early in the movie, this dude who has Lucky tattooed on his one hand, and the other hand is a hook, he's missing a leg, he's all fucking jacked up across the board. He comes into Gupta's pawn shop in Las Vegas, and he sells this statue of the Leprechaun with this medallion necklace on for $20, and he fucking takes off. He flees for his life. Gupta then takes Gupta's the pawn shop owner. I assume that was clear from me saying Gupta's pawn shop. But Gupta then takes the medallion off, and he's like, oh, this is kind of nice. I'll see if this is worth anything. Oh, no, it's not. Wait, what? Oh, the Leprechaun has unpetrified, turned back into a living leprechaun. Oh, but now there's a pot of gold here. Good job, Gupta, you've got gold. So he takes some of the gold, which... if you have watched the first two films in the Leprechaun franchise, you will know that is not a thing that you want to do, because the Leprechaun will murder you if he can. And so the early bit, the Leprechaun's storyline in the early bit focuses on his attempt to get this gold back from Gupta, and Gupta's attempt to kill or gain control of the Leprechaun's gold. And so all of that action happens within the pawn shop. At the same time, you have Scott McCoy, who's this sort of, I guess he's supposed to be the heartthrob of the film, but I found him very gawky and awkward. So he's also the fact that he's wearing like a photographer's vest or fishing vest or something, I find very unstylish. I'm sorry if that's your look, but I don't think it's a cool look. Like, it's not what if I wanted to be like, this is the sexy young heartthrob that we want you to root for him to get the girl. That is not the costume choice I would have made. But anyway, again, no offense if you're a big like fishing vest person, but so he is driving through Vegas and he's just all like, "Oh, look at all the pretty lights. I'm not from Vegas." We don't know where he's from. It doesn't really matter. We learn that he's going to LA to go to school. When he meets Tammy Larson, who is this very sort of glamorous, conventionally attractive magician's assistant who aspires to herself being a professional magician. She works in the Lucky Shamrock Casino. Her car has broken down. Scott picks her up, takes her to her job, and then basically he's like, "Oh, I've never been in a real casino before. Can you sneak me in since I'm not technically old enough to be in there?" And she's like, "Okay, but you're not allowed to gamble." He goes in, starts gambling. He cashes his tuition check of $23,000 because this was back in the day when $23,000 would pay for your schooling. But he cashes his check, loses basically everything, goes to pawn his watch in Gupta's pawn shop. Gupta is now dead by this point, but one of the Leprechaun's shillings has been left on the keyboard of the computer Gupta was using. And also, this is a dumb gimmick, but it's an interesting contrivance. Gupta, this is 1995, so it doesn't look like a floppy disk from my own personal memory of floppy disks, because I am old enough to remember floppy disks. But there's some sort of, and it's definitely not a CD, but there's some sort of information disk program thing that Gupta has on Legends and Folklore, and he puts it into his computer like a floppy disk, but it isn't. It doesn't matter. And it's like, here's a bunch of information about leprechauns, don't you know? It's in an Irish accent. Everything's grand, isn't it? So basically this computer program just gives random relevant information about leprechauns based on the whatever information Gupta or subsequently Scott needs to know at that particular moment. It is a contrivance. So when Scott is standing there, Gupta's dead body is there. He has called the police. He sees this shilling, picks it up. The computer's like, "Oh, did you know that if you have a leprechaun shilling, you can make a wish?" And so Scott is like, "I wish I was back at the casino on a winning streak." Boom. Back at the roulette table, puts the shilling on top of the stack of chips. He's got a massive accumulation of them, and it just like, here's what's going to be the winning number. I'm going to magic you up some success, etc., etc. So he's making a massive amount of money. The hotel or the casino owner, Mitch, who's very much a scumbag, who's trying to have sex with Tammy, basically comes over and is like, "Hey, Loretta, the dealer or the roulette wheel." I guess dealer is not the right word. She's running the roulette wheel, whatever the name of that job is. And her objective in life is to be young and beautiful forever. He's basically like, if you don't fix it so that this guy stops winning, there's going to be severe consequences. So anyway, eventually, and the cheating mechanism has broken. Too bad. So eventually, Mitch is basically like, "Hey, Scott, this table's broken. So why don't you have this free hotel room? Go up to your room. Maybe just put all of your winnings in, an easily accessible place near the door, etc., etc." And Loretta teams up with Fazio, who is the kind of subpar magician for whom Tammy is the assistant. And they are going to steal his money and the shilling, which Loretta wants. So they attempt to do that. They do steal the shilling. Basically, the shilling passes through various people's hands, and they wish for the thing that they Mitch wishes that Tammy wanted to have sex with him. Fazio wishes that he was the best magician in the world. Loretta wishes that she was young and beautiful, etc., etc. And the leprechaun basically sort of pursues them and kills them all in various ways over the course of the movie. While that is happening, the leprechaun also comes after Scott in his hotel room. He ends up biting Scott's arm. Scott stabs him in the face, and the leprechaun's blood drops onto the wound on Scott's arm. And so Scott begins transforming into a leprechaun. And this, of course, has its own sets of problems. One of which is that he becomes substantially less interested in actually destroying the gold, which is what they realize they need to do in order to defeat the leprechaun. Two is that he also is getting kind of evil-y. And three is that he's going through substantial physical pain because of this transition. So, Tammy, so based on Mitch's wish that Tammy will want to have sex with him, she is sort of magicked into this and goes about sort of seducing him. They go up to Mitch's room. She's doing this sort of striptease for him when Mitch loses control of the coin. I don't remember the precise circumstances of that, but it doesn't really matter. Because the point that I wanted to make is that Tammy comes to her senses. She's like, "Mitch, what the fuck have you done to me? Why am I here? What's going on? I don't remember any of this." And he's like, "You teased me. It doesn't occur to me that this is some sort of weird magic situation. You're fired." So Tammy is really upset. She meets Scott going down to leave the casino. He's going up toward his room, and she tells him what happened, and he's basically like, "We're going to go get Mitch. I'm not going to let this happen to you because you're a person that I've known for 12 minutes, and I am deeply invested in your life." So they go up to confront Mitch. By that point, the leprechaun has already murdered him. So they find his dead body. They're like, "Oh, fuck, this isn't great." Scott's like, "This was probably the leprechaun. We should peace out back over to the pawn shop because for reasons, that's where the answer to this whole thing lies." So they go over, they learn about that, etc. So there's a whole series of bullshit that happens. And then finally they have their sort of grand confrontation with the leprechaun. Amongst all of this, there's a bunch of just bits and pieces of random nonsense that happens. Like at one point, so one thing about this that's very, very strange is that the leprechaun is just wandering around Las Vegas. And everybody's like, "Oh, that's a leprechaun. Whatever. I've got more gambling to do, baby. Can't be bothered about a fucking leprechaun walking around doing crazy shit. I've got fucking slot machine to play." So that, on its face, there's a sort of weird premise to this, right? Because in the first Leprechaun film, the Leprechaun is not like out engaging with people, right? Like he's like hidden away and like he's coming at you to kill you, but he's not out being like, hey, let's play some blackjack together. There is a scene in Leprechaun 2 where he's in a bar with Morty and the fucking kid. The hero of the film, whose name I can't remember. It doesn't really matter. So there is a bit more like he has a public presence that he doesn't have in the first film. And in this one, he's just walking the streets of Las Vegas like, whatever, I'm a leprechaun, nobody gives a shit. And like at one point he's walking along and this limo pulls up and out of it steps an Elvis impersonator. And the Elvis impersonator's like, hey, nice costume. And the leprechaun, I feel like Warwick Davis just wanted to do his Elvis impression, and they worked it in for no good plot reason, because the leprechaun says, "Like a remote." That was my Elvis impression. It's probably terrible, but you're welcome. So yeah, I mean, he does this Elvis impression, and the Elvis impersonator's like, "You do that pretty good," and then they do this stupid Elvis pose without. I don't know what it is because I'm not a big Elvis fan. And then the Elvis impersonator walks off, and the leprechaun is like, "Vegas, this is my kind of town," and he pretends to play guitar and do the 50s Elvis hips swivel thing. Like, what the fuck is it? Right? It's great. Okay, it's a fun little comic bit. Warwick Davis got to have some fun. Probably the whole filming crew got to have some fun, but it doesn't serve any point in the thing. There's these two guys, I think it's Art and Tony, who are like, they seem to be like mafia guys who are trying to shake down Mitch. And at one point, they just have this like weird conversation where they're just waiting for Mitch to arrive as he's being murdered, where they're like, "Oh, my boxers are riding up my ass," which I don't know. I mean, maybe this is different for other people, other men, whatever it is. That is not like, even if that was happening to me in a public place and I was with one of my friends, that's not a thing that I would ever say to someone. And then the other guy's like, "Oh yeah, I've switched over to briefs," and they just have the conversation about their underwear preferences and like what types of socks they wear to prevent their socks sliding down. So what the fuck is this? Why is this here? It has nothing to do with anything in the movie. It doesn't advance the plot in any way. These are at best peripheral characters, and we spend as much time on them feeling uncomfortable in their underclothing as we do on anything else that they do in the movie. It's such a strange thing, but it's also kind of fun. And again, this is one of the weird things about Leprechaun 3, is that it seems to just sort of embrace this comic aspect at the expense of trying to be scary at all.